be a Jew, it's not just that you were born to a Jewish mother. You also have to behave like a Jew. You have to keep Shabbat, you have to keep mitzvot, you have to learn Torah. And this, Rabotai Yekarim, is a problem throughout the entire world, not just in America, where you have a assimilation rate of over 80%, but also throughout the rest of the world. And part of the reason that we have so much confusion today is because of ignorance. We live in a very, very ignorant generation where people do not know the very basics of Judaism. Now, by very basics, I don't just mean the halachot of Shabbat or the halachot of Kashrut. I mean basics even, why did we even come to the world? Why do you exist? For what? What benefit does a Kadosh Baruch Hu get out of this? Now you're saying that he's perfect. So what does he need you for? Now if you're going to go online and you're going to type in why are you in this world or something like that, you may land on some very confusing opinions. Why? Because some of these opinions, if you view the video, it looks like it's being given by somebody from the Gemara. Nice long beard, but the stuff that comes out of the mouth is not exactly Da'at Torah. It's not Da'at Torah. Last night somebody sent me a video asking me about a certain rabbi that I've mentioned in lectures before, just without his name. And somebody asked them, why do we come to the world? If I attended the lecture before learning Torah, for sure I'm leaving the lecture a kofel. Why? The answer that he gave confused people more than they were confused without the answer. Because it's the wrong answer. So we live in an ignorant generation, so much so that you can't rely on anyone unless they're going to use a source from the Torah and show you that this is Da'at Torah. What does Da'at Torah mean? Da'at Torah means this is the opinion of the Torah. How do you know that this is the opinion of Torah and what he said is not the opinion of Torah? It's because when it's the opinion of the Torah, it has to be connected to some type of source, whether it's the Chumash, or it's the Tanakh itself, or it's a Gemara, or it's a Mishnah, or it's a Sifrei Tzadikim. It has to be connected to something. And the Mishnah in Avot says that if a person is going to mention some Divrei Torah, he must say it in the name of whoever said it. Because when he says it in the name of whoever said it, he's bringing Nachat to HaKadosh Baruch Hu and bringing the Mashiach closer. Which means that when he does not mention things with a source, he does the opposite. He makes the Mashiach take even longer, and he makes Hashem upset. Why? Because when you're saying something and you're not mentioning a source, and people say, well, okay, he's a rabbi, so he must, whatever he just said must be from the Torah. And the reality is, Rabotai Yekarim, is that a lot of things that you're going to find on the internet do not have a source in the Torah. They're just complete confusion. Such as the example that I mentioned to you guys yesterday by the Rasha Shmuli Boteach, who mentioned that it's not a big deal to be homosexual, even though the Torah says it's toivat Hashem, it's disgusting to Hashem, it's a din karet. It's one of the 36 things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, if you make this sin without doing tshuva, you and me have nothing to do with each other. No olam haba, no Gan Eden, no nothing. Now, of course, it's a very difficult tikkun for some people. They have a desire, they have an addiction. Don't let anybody fool you. You have to overcome it, and you can overcome it. Right now, as we speak, I'm dealing with at least a half a dozen cases. A half a dozen cases of kids that, Baruch Hashem, are overcoming this obstacle. It's not easy. It's for sure not easy, and it doesn't take overnight. But don't let anybody fool you to think that you could change the Torah and it's okay to sin. It's okay to go with a goyah just because you're not married yet. It's okay to steal money just because you're stealing from goyim. It's okay to be homosexual just because you're keeping Shabbat or some other mitzvah that you're doing. It's okay to do anything against the Kadosh Baruch Hu. It's never okay to do anything against the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Never. Now, all of us sin. I sin, you sin, everybody sins. The difference between a Rasha and someone that's trying to be a tzaddik is that the Rasha just simply says, okay, listen, I just can't do this. I can't overcome this obstacle, so I'm just going to continue doing it, but I'll do everything else good. A tzaddik says, okay, this is difficult, I'm failing miserably, I keep failing, but Be'ezrat Hashem, I'm going to overcome it one day. Why is that such a big difference? It's a big difference because The Rasha is called a Rasha not just because he sins, but because he simply accepts it as a reality. I'm sinning, this is it, I'm going to continue and Hashem is going to accept me as is. Which means that you have just turned HaKadosh Baruch Hu into the most evil being that ever lived. Why? What kind of father is going to tell his little son to go lift an 18-wheeler truck on top of his head? No father will do it. What kind of father will tell his son or daughter, go fly to the moon without a rocket? No father. Why? Because he knows you can't do it. Which means that if our Father in heaven, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave you a test, He gave you a desire for food, and you eat too much. He gave you a desire for women, and every day you want a different one. He gave you a desire for the same sex, and every day you want something. He gave you a desire for something that is not what He wants. Not what He wants. But He gave you a desire for it. What does that mean? By default, it means that He knows that you could overcome it. So to say that I'm making the sin and Hashem will just simply have to accept me because I could just do other mitzvot, that means that you think of Hashem as some sadistic being that just sets you up for failure. If there is a test that you are given, for sure you can pass it. No one says it's easy. No one ever said it's easy. It's not supposed to be easy. No part of the Torah says that the mitzvot are supposed to be easy. The life is supposed to be easy. But you were created for it. Bepicha ubilfavcha la'asoto. It's in your mouth, it's in your heart to fulfill it. The Torah is for you to fulfill it. So sometimes when you see people that call themselves a rabbi, like Shmuli Boteach or some of these other clowns, they can create a lot of confusion. They create a lot of confusion. So that's why I always remind you guys, over and over again, for years I'm doing this. Please, please be careful from who you learn from, and always make sure that whatever you hear has to have a source, especially if it sounds weird to you, especially if it's the opposite of what you learned here. Because Baruch Hashem, we try very hard to bring you sources, so then you can go home and check it. Not just because I could show you how smart I am, or I could show you that I remember a few things by heart. I don't go to Olam Haba for knowing anything by heart, by the way. I go to Olam Haba if I can get you guys to become Avdei Hashem, servants of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's why I go to Olam Haba for. Even if I don't remember Aleph Bet by heart. Doesn't make a difference what I know by heart. What's important is if I can get you to see that this is the truth. Now if I bring you a source, that automatically brings legitimacy to anything that I say. But sometimes people make a mistake. And I'm going to tell you a story that I heard from my Rav, that hopefully hits a few notes for some of you, because you'll see that learning Torah by itself is not enough. Learning Torah by itself is not enough. There's a lot of people that learn Torah. These rabbis that are clowns that I mention all the time, they also learn Torah, or they learned Torah in the past at some point. So what's the difference between one that learns and one that actually does? The Gemara in Masechet Moed Katan says, if your Rav sounds like an angel, like Malach Hashem, learn Torah from him. If not, don't learn Torah from him. You're not allowed. Chamim say, what does it mean if he's like Malach Hashem? What does it mean? What is it, an angel? He says, yes, it's like an angel. What does it mean, angel? An angel's job in the world is simply to fulfill the will of Hashem. No questions asked. All he wants to do is to fulfill the will of Hashem. It's hard, it's this, it's that. The Zohar HaKadosh says that there are actual angels that HaKadosh Baruch Hu creates for a moment. They say, Baruch Hashem Mevorach, and then Hashem burns them. That's it. And then he creates them different ones. They say, Baruch Hashem Mevorach, and they get destroyed. That's their only purpose in the world. There are all types, there are trillions and trillions and trillions of types of angels. The point being is, all angels want to do is fulfill the will of Hashem. They don't have a Yetzirah, they don't have any evil inclination. They simply want to do what Hashem said. If your Rav, if who you're learning Torah from, sounds like that, go learn Torah from him. But if he gives you his opinion every other day, and if he says, you know what, maybe Hashem made a mistake here, you know what, this is that, you see that his own character traits are flawed, all he talks about is money, all he talks about is this, all he talks about are things that, I don't know, it's not Torah. You know, it's an hour shiur, like one of my students told me, She watched the shiur Torah one time. She says it was an hour shiur. Out of the hour shiur, there was maybe 5 minutes of Torah. The rest of it was just chit-chat. If that's the type of shiur, you're wasting your time. Why? Because it's supposed to be shiur Torah. If the Rav is trying to fulfill the will of Hashem, of course, everyone fails. But he's trying his best to fulfill the will of Hashem, you learn Torah from him. But if he's trying to become popular, if he's trying to get views on YouTube, if he's trying to say things so it's pleasing to your ear, so you like him, and you press like on his Facebook, if that's what he's trying to do, don't learn Torah from him. You're not allowed. Why? He's not Malach Hashem.